There's a special kind of silence that follows a woman who doesn't chase attention. It's not arrogance, not coldness. It's power. The kind that makes people wonder, what gives her that calm? She isn't loud about it, she doesn't need to announce her worth, and that's exactly why she stands out. Independence looks effortless from the outside, but underneath it's layered with emotional discipline, self-respect, and a little sprinkle of rebellion against everything that once told her she couldn't be enough on her own. Let's be honest, the world runs on stories about connection. Movies, songs, even social media feed us the idea that happiness is a duet. Someone out there is your missing half, and your story isn't complete until they show up. But some women quietly rewrite that script. They build whole, complicated, fulfilling lives, not in spite of being single, but because they learned how to make solitude their superpower. That doesn't mean they reject love. It means they don't rely on it to define them. The secret strength starts in the smallest places, like realizing that loneliness and being alone are not twins. Loneliness is craving validation. Being alone is choosing clarity. When a woman learns that distinction, her energy shifts. She stops bargaining for scraps of attention because her peace stopped being negotiable. That's when people start calling her intimidating. Not because she's harsh, but because she's hard to manipulate. Psychologically, independence like that grows from emotional regulation. The ability to soothe your own nerves without needing someone else to fix you. It's one of the rarest human skills. Society trains us to outsource comfort. Call a friend, post about it, look for approval. Independent women learn to do the uncomfortable thing, sit with their feelings until they understand them. They don't run from silence, they use it like a mirror. That self-awareness becomes their emotional armor. Here's the interesting twist. Independence doesn't kill vulnerability, it refines it. These women can open up, but they choose when and to whom. They've learned that giving everyone access to your emotions is like handing out spare keys to your sanity. Not everyone deserves that kind of access, so they protect their peace like it's a rare gemstone. Not because they're cold, but because they know how expensive it was to mine. People often mistake that strength for bitterness. They assume she must have been hurt, that she swore off relationships out of trauma. Maybe once upon a time she did get burned, but the real transformation isn't the heartbreak, it's what she did after it. Instead of chasing another person to fill the void, she built a life that didn't have one. That's the psychological backbone of independence, self-validation. Once you stop needing others to confirm your worth, relationships become a choice, not a lifeline. And that choice changes everything. Because when you don't need love to survive, you can finally experience it without fear. You can say no to bad energy without panic because rejection doesn't feel like death anymore. It just feels like direction. Independence rewires the brain that way. It breaks the link between self-esteem and external approval. You start measuring your value by growth, not attention. The funny part is, independence looks glamorous in quotes and captions, but in real life, it's built on mundane habits, like paying your own bills, learning to fix things, building routines that don't collapse when someone stops texting back. It's saying, I can handle this on days you don't actually feel like you can, and then realizing later that you did. That's the quiet reward. Every solved problem adds another invisible brick to your inner stability. Confidence from independence hits differently too. It's not loud, it's not a performance. It's that unshakable calm when things go wrong and you don't spiral, because you trust yourself to adapt. That trust comes from experience, from every moment you survived what you thought you couldn't. Women who master that don't flaunt it. They radiate it. It shows in posture, tone, even silence. When you don't chase validation, your stillness becomes louder than noise. Now here's where psychology gets fascinating. Humans naturally seek attachment. It's built into our biology. So how does independence coexist with that instinct? The answer is secure attachment. The ability to connect deeply without losing autonomy. Independent women often cultivate this unconsciously. They can bond without blending identities, love without disappearing into someone else's expectations. It's emotional maturity disguised as detachment. There's also a myth that independent women don't need anyone. Wrong. They value connection. They just prefer quality over quantity. They're selective because they understand energy economics. Time, emotion, focus, those are currencies. And they've learned that giving them away cheaply leads to emotional bankruptcy. So they invest wisely. If you bring chaos, they'll cut losses early. If you bring consistency, they'll match it with loyalty that doesn't have an expiration date. This independence also changes attraction dynamics. When a woman's happiness isn't for sale, it flips the usual script. Suddenly, admiration replaces pity. People are drawn to her not because she's playing hard to get, but because she's hard to unsettle. Stability is magnetic. It signals control, self-mastery, and safety. 3 traits that trigger respect faster than beauty ever could. At a deeper level, independence gives freedom to love authentically. Think about it. When you don't rely on someone else to complete you, you can appreciate them for who they are, not what they can provide. That's the purest form of intimacy. 2 whole people choosing each other, not 2 half-broken souls trying to patch the cracks together. Independence doesn't kill romance, it purifies it. It strips it of desperation and leaves only desire. There's a psychological ripple effect too. Independent women become emotional role models. They show others that solitude isn't a sentence, it's a setting for growth. They normalize boundaries, self-care, ambition, and saying no without guilt. In doing so, they subtly raise the standard for everyone around them. That's the secret strength. It's contagious. It shifts the atmosphere. But let's not romanticize it too much. Independence isn't always peaceful. Sometimes it's lonely. Sometimes it means crying alone in a kitchen because you refuse to settle for less. It means turning down good enough love because your gut knows it would cost your peace. It's not that these women don't feel fear, they just stopped letting fear make their choices. They understand that comfort without respect is just a prettier form of control. Psychologically, that mindset comes from resilience, the brain's ability to adapt after emotional setbacks. Every challenge faced alone rewires confidence. Each moment of self-reliance becomes proof that I can handle life. Over time, this forms an internal narrative of strength that no breakup or rejection can rewrite. That's why independent women often move differently. They carry an inner story that no one else authored. And here's the irony. The more a woman embraces independence, the more compatible she becomes with truly healthy love. Because real relationships thrive on 2 complete people choosing to share their completeness. Dependence breeds anxiety. Independence breeds clarity. It's not about needing less. It's about knowing you'll be fine either way. So when someone looks at an independent woman and says, "You must be so strong," the truth is deeper. It's not strength that keeps her standing. It's self-knowledge. She's spent enough time with herself to understand her triggers, her dreams, her peace. And once you know those things, it's almost impossible to hand control of them to anyone else. That's the real psychology of independence. It's emotional self-governance. It's understanding that love is beautiful, but peace is non-negotiable. It's choosing growth over approval, solitude over shallow company, and purpose over people-pleasing. It's not about rejecting relationships. It's about refusing to shrink to fit one. And maybe that's the quiet revolution happening right now. More and more women realizing that their lives don't begin when someone loves them. They expand when they start loving themselves with the same energy they once used to prove their worth. Because once you stop chasing validation, the world stops running your story. Independence doesn't mean isolation. It means mastery. Over emotion, over choices, over self. And once that switch flips, there's no going back. Because the woman who no longer needs a relationship doesn't walk away from love. She simply walks toward herself. And that's the most powerful direction there is.